Go!
It's August 28th, 2024. It's my honor to be speaking with Mr. John J. Jeckovich today and reading his book, Their Mother's Sons. Mr. John J. Jeckovich was a combat veteran in World War II. He was in Company H, 2nd Battalion, 291st Regiment of the 75th Infantry Division of the U.S. Army during World War II. Mr. Jeckovich is a highly decorated World War II vet with a Purple Heart and 2 Bronze Stars. It was only by the prayers of his mother that he made it out of World War II alive. His book is entitled as Their Mother's Sons. And this is a 900-page book written by Mr. Jeckovich about 20-some years ago. And it takes from the time when he's 12 years old, taking care of his mother, all the way up into the end of the road when his mother died at 89. He cared for her the entire time. So it was about a son, basically, taking care of his mother. A son taking care of his mother. And it's a great book and an interesting book. I had many questions. Is the book for sale?
No, no.
The book will never be for sale.
No.
The book will never be for sale. It's a copy of it will be in the World War II Museum in New Orleans, Louisiana. How long did you take to write the book, Mr. Jeckovich?
Let's see, I say 3 months.
3 months. You got any other books in mind you're going to write?
Well, I'm not here. I'm not writing.
You're not
here.
motivated.
Yeah, I'm not motivated here. No.
I see. And who'd you dedicate the book to?
What?
Who'd you dedicate the book?
My mother.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm going to start reading, but before I do, I have to get the passcode from Mr. Jeckovich.
420965.
That's Mr. Jeckovich's dog tag number. And when he says that, we open up Studio CB, and then we start reading his book. We're way ahead this time. We're on Chapter 16, Civilian Life Once Again. And this is basically when Mr. Jeckovich is still in Germany. He's leaving, the war is winding down. And he's heading back, being discharged. But discharges doesn't happen overnight. It's a several-month process. And you're released from the war on a point system. And so they put you in these different barracks where you don't really have much of a duties at the time, but interesting enough, the barracks and tents are named after cigarettes. Pall Mall, Lucky Strike, West Chesterfields, etc., Kent cigarettes, all short, non-filtered cigarettes that the Red Cross gave out. What was the name of your tent?
Pall Mall.
Pall Mall. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it took a while to get discharged, right?
Well, you guys get the insurance straightened out, your medical discharge and everything.
Mr. Jeckovich lives by the motto that yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Today is a gift. Mr. Jeckovich is knocking on the door of 100 years old. If you have any questions for Mr. Jeckovich, please text him at 407-366-0000. 407-366-0000. So I'm going to start reading on page 467. He's winding down at the service, and it's civilian life once again. And he had contact with Patton during World War II, and Patton was a very unusual character. He survived both World War I and II, and then he was killed by an accident after the war in Germany, and Patton was buried with his soldiers, his infantrymen in Germany. So he was quite a character. Even though Patton was only in his mid to late 50s, he looked about 30 years older. Why do you think that when you seen him?
Toils of war, toils of war.
He was pretty well beat.
Yeah,
And he had a lot of problems with depression.
Yeah, he was active all the time.
Yeah. Patton's tanks are riding roughshod over the rugged countryside. After a staggering setback in Metz 6 months ago, Patton has shown what he's made of at Bastogne and now at Paladite. We are the 8th wonder of the world, Patton says. Patton says he's the 8th wonder of the world. Sounds like Patton?
Yeah.
We're the 8th wonder of the world, Patton says, of the 3rd Army on March 19th. He's congratulating himself on another yet success. And I had to beg, lie, and steal to get started, Patton said. He had to beg, lie, and steal to get started. Patton's forces captured the pivotal city of Koblenz at the confluence of the Rhine and Moselle rivers. He now has 8 full divisions lined around the western shore of the Rhine. The tank barrels aim directly at the eastern bank.
Yeah.
So now he's got 8 full divisions. How many is that? 8 full?
8 full divisions,
Yeah.
that's over 30,000 men.
And Patton's pointing them
Yeah.
right directly at him. All Patton needs is a place to cross. The date is March 22nd, 1945. 2 hours before midnight, under the cover of darkness, a 3rd Army patrol paddles across the Rhine at Neerstrom in a flimsy wooden assault boats. The slap of the paddle stroking the swift water goes unheard. The report back that no enemy troops are in the vicinity. When Patton receives the news, he immediately orders that the bridging material to be sent forward. By morning, hastily built pontoon bridges span the river, and the entire division of Patton's army is soon across. What about your crossing the Rhine? Could you tell us how the soldier swam across and then used a rope? Tell us about that.
Yeah.
Tell us how that went.
On the rope, on the raft?
Yeah.
Well, we'll swim right across on the other side with a rope on, and then he pulled maybe 60 guys in the raft and pulled them back over on the Rhine side.
Complete silence.
Yeah, no clapping or
motor?
nothing, no.
This is the rubber boat.
Rubber boats, rubber rafts, yeah.
That guy who initially swam across, the Rhine is cold and the Rhine is swift. He must have been a hell of a swimmer.
Well, when there was rafts going over, the rafts drifted a long way over, too. They might have gone into enemy territory.
Yeah. He must have been a hell of a swimming. And how many of those rafts did he pull across by rope?
Total?
Yeah, how many were total the rafts?
Probably a whole division.
That was something. Patton calls Bradley, instead of making the sort of bold pronouncement that he would inform the Germans of his precise location, he set aside his ego in a moment of caution. Don't tell anyone I'm across, Patton informs Bradley. Well, I'll be damned, Bradley responds. You mean across the Rhine? Sure I am. I sneaked a whole division over last night, but there were so few Krauts around here that they didn't know what hit them. So don't make any announcements. We'll keep it a secret until we see how it goes. If it goes well, but only for a short time. The sight of 1,000 men marching across the hastily built pontoon bridge is hard to conceal. The German Air Force discovers the 3rd Army's encroachment later that day. Disregarding the Allied air superiority, the few Luftwaffe Messerschmitts fighters that have survived thus far in the war patrol below the Rhine, searching for signs of soldiers, vehicles, and supplies. The pilots radio back what they see and then harass the intruders by dropping down to the treetop level of the Americans with lethal rounds of machine guns. So some of the German airships would just harass all the troops that cross the Rhine and shoot machine guns just to harass them. It's not going to kill them all, but just to It's just to harass the hell out of them.
Shake 'em up.
Shake them up, right, okay. But the German pilots are too bold, so German pilots are pretty bold. German pilots of the fighter jets are pretty bold people. The German pilots are bold.
Bold?
Yeah.
Well, they're doing their job.
And in their determination to throw Patton's invaders back, all 33 Luftwaffe planes were blasted out of the sky by the precision firing from the 3rd Army's anti-craft guns. So the Germans had 30 Luftwaffe planes that were harassing Patton, and Patton, with his anti-aircraft guns, shot all 30 planes out of the sky. So it didn't last.
Yeah.
The German pilots are so low that bailing out of and parachuting to safety is not an option. So these German pilots were running so low that to harass Patton's troops that it wasn't enough distance to parachute on down the German pilot. So they're in trouble. They're in trouble. They couldn't parachute on down. American soldiers continued their march across the swift blue rivers of the Rhine, cheered throughout the day by the sight of enemy planes exploding all across the horizon and falling into the river with a mighty splash.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of those planes still in that Rhine.
Yeah.
It is clear that the Americans no longer need to proceed under radio silence. So everyone knows the Americans are there. No more radio silence.
Of course, they're making enough noise.
Patton once again phones Bradley on March 23rd, eager to make history at his rival at Montgomery's expense. "Brad, for God's sakes, tell your world we're across," he barks in the receiver. Bradley will later remember that Patton already high voice, troubled in happiness. "We knocked down 33 Krauts today when they came after our platoon bridges. I want the world to know the 3rd Army made it before Monty starts across."
Montgomery, yeah, the fight against Montgomery. Yeah.
So he was determined to get across before anybody else. And he did. And he was happy that he shot down those 30 plus planes.
Yeah.
So Patton's got a great swagger now. Patton's swagger only increases the next day as he takes his victorious celebration to a new level. He is driven to the front, close to where the American troops pour across the Rhine in a small German town of Oppenheim. The broad, icy river is dull gray, reflecting an overcast morning sky. Sergeant Mims eases Patton's Jeep onto the temporary bridge, taking care to align the wheels with the wooden planks. Patton has thought carefully about how he will make the occasion of the crossing Rhine as a special plan in mind. So Patton's not just going to cross the Rhine. He's going to make it like a special big occasion.
He's going to make a big deal out of it.
He's going to make a big deal out of it. Okay, let's see what he does now. At the bank of the river, he orders his driver to stop. "Time out for a short halt," he tells Sergeant Mims. Patton steps out of his Jeep and walks along the wooden planks to the center of the bridge. "I've been looking forward to this for some time," Patton said. So he's making a big scene by crossing
the river.
The Rhine. He gets out of his Jeep and starts walking on the bridge to make sure everyone sees him.
Yeah.
He's like a great celebration.
Yeah.
Walking carefully to the edge of the swaying bridge, Patton instructs Army photographers to look at him. So he wants all the Army photographers to shoot him.
Yeah.
He's probably dressed up to the nines.
Yeah.
However, his aide, Charles Codman, will be allowed to take photographs to preserve the moment for posterity. Patton unzips it. Oh, here we go. This is getting good now. You must have seen this. Patton unzips his fly, What's he do next?
Pissed in the river.
He does what?
Pissed in the river.
Yeah, son of a gun. Patton unzips his fly, faces downriver, and relieves himself. So he's pissing on the Rhine. And Patton says, I didn't take a piss all this morning when I got up, so I could have a full load, he brags to the photographers as he begins to brag to the photographers. He begins to urinate. Patton looks straight into camera lenses.
Yeah.
That sounds like Pat, right?
Yeah.
He's pissing in the river, and he's looking there for like a great
big deal.
Yeah.
Big deal, yeah.
Upon reaching the far bank of the Rhine, Patton, he's celebrating by doing that. He's telling everyone that
He's on the other side.
Yeah, piss on you when I got here. Upon reaching the far bank of the Rhine, Patton continues his celebration by once again stepping from his jeep and recreating the William the Conqueror's arrival in England. So now he's going to pretend he's like the William the Conqueror arrival in England.
Yeah.
Nearly 9 centuries earlier, it was William, the legendary invader from the Norman region of France, who famously fell flat on his face while leaping from his boat and kissed the English shoreline. See, he yelled to us all men, I have taken England with both hands. So now he's bragging to everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Patton falls to his knee. Okay, so Patton falls to his knee on purpose, and then he plants his hands deeply into the German soil. Thus Patton cries out, William the Conqueror, in all illusion appreciated but not completely understood by some within his earshot. And what Patton does now and his Third Army are across the Rhine and prepared to invade Germany's heartland, just as he did nearly 2 years ago at Messina. The earlier competitive Patton had defeated his military nemesis, British Field Marshal
Montgomery.
Bernard Law Montgomery, right. Patton will take particular pride in boasting of his accomplishments. So, like, he's across the Rhine now, and he's really making a scene. He's really got his chest puffed out, his finest boots on, everything that he could possibly imagine.
And I'm trying to keep him down.
Yeah. Patton took particular pride in boasting of his accomplishment. Without the benefit of aerial bombing, ground smoke, and artillery preparation, and the airborne assistance, the Third Army at 2200 hours Thursday, 22nd of March, 1945, crossed the Rhine River. So he wanted to know there was no air bombardment, no ground smoke, no artillery preparation. He just did it on his own.
Yeah.
He just did it on his own. And now he's kissing the ground to say, you know, this is mine now. Like Patton West said, I got Adolf Hitler in a meat grinder, and I'm holding the handle. And I'm holding the handle.
Yeah.
The 21st Army was supposed to cross the Rhine on the 24th of March, 1945. Patton will continue in order to be ready for his earth-shaking event. Mr. Churchill wrote a speech congratulating Field Marshal Montgomery for his final assault crossing the Rhine.
Well, they got pissed off.
They got pissed off because Patton beat them 2 days before with no support.
Yeah.
No support. They were fighting all the time. The speech was recorded and through some error of the part of the BBC was broadcast in spite of the fact the Third Army had been across the Rhine for some 36 hours. So the British Broadcasting Corporation, the radio station, was saying that this great Montgomery is crossing the Rhine to eliminate the Germans, but Patton beat him by almost 2 days.
Patton's over there, yeah.
He's already over there. Looking east, Patton just needs to find a way to beat the Russians into Berlin. We are now fairly started on that place of the campaign, which I hope will be the final one. He writes to Eisenhower 2 days after crossing the Rhine. He couches his letter in respect but the desire to remain in fight is evident in quiet demands of his conclusion. I know that the Third Army will be at the finish in some decisive way, and that it has performed in all preliminary battle. Patton reminds Eisenhower. So that was some event that he did.
Yeah.
A lot of publicity event with this guy.
Yeah, the guy's fighting all the time, right?
Yeah. World War I and World War II. Got killed by a freak accident after the war. Okay. It was warm inside the bus, and it felt good. I handed the driver a quarter, and he gave me some change, back in which it slipped into my field jacket. There was one and only other person on the bus, a middle-aged woman who was deeply engrossed in the paper she was reading. This is when you're back home now. You're getting back home. Her lack of concern for my present sent a slight peek through me, but I quickly dismissed it. After all, it was almost a year since the war in Europe was over, and little less than that for the war in the Pacific. So the Pacific ended a lot later.
Yeah.
I took a window seat and set my duffel bag beside me on the double seat. The floor was wet from the snow people brought in the bus, and there were crushed cigarettes strewn about. So you can smoke on the bus, right?
Yeah.
Something I've not seen during my time at the Army. As the driver pulled away, I gazed out the window, looking at the passing storefronts I had seen 1,000 times before. A long time ago, somehow it all looked different. Or more to the point, my perspective had changed and I had something to relate to. I thought of my trips on Paris Metro, where everything seemed to be bright and alluring. Here it seemed to be dull and commonplace. I reflected a moment on Anne and Jean and how different their worlds were from mine. I knew that I was correct in my instinct in not bringing either one of them home with me. What would your mother have said if you brought Jean or Anne home?
Well, she wouldn't like it.
She'd be very angry.
Yeah, she wouldn't like him, no. And I don't think she likes him either. She basically didn't like him.
I'd be horrified thinking that we both made a terrible mistake, that I ruined a wonderful person's life. As the bus passed the Lower East Side, I saw the Capitol Theater where I once ushered. So you were an usher for quite a while as a teenager.
Yeah.
You must know every movie by heart. It looked dismal and run down, not a glowing place I made it out to be when I worked there. I then thought it was the Taj Mahal with a huge bright red curtain that I would open and start every movie. We rounded a corner and curve on Portage Road, and we're headed down the final leg to Niagara Street. The bus driver would let me off at the last stop at the creek adjacent to Hyde Park Boulevard.
30th Street, yeah.
Was that bottling plant there then?
Was what?
When you got off in the 40s, was that bottling plant still on 30th and Niagara Street?
Yeah.
It was still there then?
Yeah.
What were they making then?
That was a bus stop.
No, but that big plant, the soda pop plant, was that there?
Johnny Rhine.
Johnny Rhine, okay. The remaining ride down Niagara Street was equally depressing. The little storefront where I took accordion lessons from Mr. Walshinsky every Wednesday night after school was still there. Do you remember taking the accordion lessons with Mr. Walshinsky?
Yeah, I played that big case accordion, back before Walshinsky, yeah.
Was he a good teacher?
Huh?
Was he a good instructor?
He was a good teacher, yeah. But he had terrible accents.
Really? He didn't learn English well?
Huh?
He didn't learn English well? He did not learn to speak English well?
No.
How much were accordion lessons then?
that, what the hell was it? $4.50 an hour.
Further on down the road, crossing 24th Street, was Pete's Grill. Did you ever eat in Pete's Grill?
Yeah, I never went there though.
Did your brother go to Pete's Grill?
Probably.
Yeah. Well, on many occasions, attempted to lure Lookie out and head him for home. So your brother did go there.
Yeah.
What type of bar was Pete's Grill?
What kind of a bar?
Was it a family place or?
It was a family bar, yeah.
But a lot of guys would
Guys
polish
come from work go in there, yeah.
and just drink.
Yeah.
Did they drink mostly beer or liquor?
Liquor or beer.
And what did your brother drink?
But my mother drink?
Brother.
My brother?
Did you had to get him out?
Lookie?
Yeah.
Probably drink the stupid liquor.
So most of the time I was unsuccessful removing your brother.
Yeah.
We passed by Niagara Street School. Did that look the same? Where I went for 6 years, learning little and experiencing much frustration and personal indifference. So you didn't learn much in the Niagara Street School?
No, that brick school, no. Up to 6th grade, yeah.
And then where'd you go after 6th grade?
High school.
And where was that at?
On Main and Portage.
And then when did you go to Trot?
I went half a day to Trot and half a day to high school.
How'd you get to both places?
Well, there was an hour period between lunch.
Yeah, so you walked?
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
No, I didn't have a car.
Yeah,
no.
but then they have a bus system to take you there?
No, by the time the bus comes, the bus was on a different schedule than I was on.
So you took minutes?
3.
Huh?
3.
So let me try to understand this. You went to high school during the day, after mornings, and then during lunch break, you would hustle down about 2 or 3 miles to Trot. What did you take in high school?
High school, I wanted to get 16 years so I could go to college.
So you're taking college courses?
In fact, you didn't need it, but in high school you needed it for college, yeah.
And so then you would hustle down to Trot, and what did you take in Trot vocational?
Electrical, yeah.
Did a lot of students do that? Go to 2 schools?
No, not many, no.
So you're one of the few that did
But
that?
they would either go to Trot or they either go for electrical or they go to high school for...
They don't do both?
No.
They don't do both. That's interesting. What school did you like the best out of the 2?
High school, but Trot was mechanical.
Did Trot, the vocational school, have many females in it?
Yeah, they had homemaking and everything there.
Okay, so it was like a 50-50.
Yeah.
I understand. Wow. And where was your brothers going to high school at the time?
My brother went to high school, strictly at high school. He'd go to Trot or nothing else. He went to high school.
How about Lookie?
Lookie never finished.
What grade did he drop out at?
I think he dropped out of 10th.
He just had enough, right?
Huh?
He had enough. He didn't want to deal
Yeah,
with
he was drinking too much.
How old were you able to drink back then? How was the drinking age?
Well, you could get it anywhere.
So it doesn't matter how old you are, you can drink anytime you want.
You can next to Cordy's on that gas station. There's a tavern next to it. You go in there.
So no one would even ask you for ID back then?
No, they ask you for your license or nothing.
So you could drink at 16, 15, 14?
Yeah.
Any age you like, minutes?
Minute.
So that's interesting to do. Did you have your driver's license in high school?
Then I had a driver's license.
In high school?
Yeah.
Do you remember where you took your road test at?
On Main Street. Right next to City Hall.
City Hall? How'd you do?
I did good. Stevie hit a fire hydrant the first time.
Wait, I don't understand. Stevie, who's an instructor during World War II teaching people to drive, he had a fire hydrant.
Yeah.
And he became the driving instructor in the Army, right?
Yeah.
Figure that out.
Well, that was the job he had.
He hit a fire hydrant and they promote him to a driving instructor in the Army.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's fun.
This crazy government. Minutes?
About 20 seconds.
And
Wow.
Ricky stayed in Hawaii.
And where did you stay? In the dirt and the snow of Germany front line?
Yeah.
What a difference.
Belgium.
And
No, I
Belgium.
got shipped over in 19.
Yeah.
33, I was gone.
Yeah, you're gone.
All right, coming up.
Is that right?
Almost 2 seconds.